For him, this kind of drill had to happen for 7 more times within a period of the last fortnight of October 2008, simply because he had been too dumb at the first drill and even very angry at his circumstances to understand it before his rawak, or spirit, was stirred to understand what YA'OH was wanting him to be aware of, so as to accept his work on him and thus thank him for the unique blessing he was pouring on and into his vile life at the time. At these happenings, anyone who knew him very well, especially over the past few years, would think of what he went through as crazy and without meaning or purpose, or that he himself was going or had already gone nuts. But then, all what the Most High One was doing to and for him was to cleanse him of his dirt of sin and washing him in pure water from above, as he must and has always done for every man who calls to be his servant and son. So then baptism in water, right, going under the water, that symbolic act, ritual act of cleansing, is totally pointless. Okay? Maybe you can understand this washing in water from sin in the context of what Christianity describes as baptism, as he is yet to learn a word in Gabare that describes or defines such an act of the Most High on which he performs on his chosen. Maybe it is because only the Most High One is worthy of performing this ritual upon his elect, and has as yet not shown evidence that any man with his delegated authority can also perform it for and on his behalf for his chosen, and therefore has not instructed any man how to conduct this ritual as to mention the name of Gabare to any known servant. Fact is that every man who is known to have been called by the Most High One to his fellowship and service has had to make contact with or been made to pass through waters at the beginning of such fellowship and service. I think there's a scripture where you go through fire or something like that. Okay. Someone might be familiar with that one. Never heard about that one with the water. Pass through waters. Yeah. And this has been so from the days of Adam as he came to earth, Noah, in the torrential rains that caused the flood of his day, Abraham, as he waded through the waters in the ford of the Euphrates River while on his way from Ur into Canaan, Masha, Moses, as he was placed in a basket and laid on the waters of the Nile River to later on be picked up from those same waters of the Nile River, and as well as the entire adult male population of the house of YA'OH, and thus of the spiritually accountable age of 20, by the Red Sea and River Jordan crossing, as they journeyed from Mitzrayim to Canaan, especially Canaan. Interestingly, none of these people had any inkling of the meaning of all that they went through in their individual experiences, or whoever caused them to happen to them, nor did they understand the spiritual value and blessing that accrued or were to accrue to them. Again, all others who may have been in the company with those who experienced these happenings were all without any understanding of them, and even described as the mixed multitude of people in one of such instances. And yet all these experiences were meant to prepare a select people, a selected few, to become the chosen and elect to compose a holy house for YA'OH himself. And so his own spiritual experience with torrential rain waters came about as he has described above, and thus caused him to come into the same line and lineage of all the holy men of YA'OH since creation. And when this happened, it was selective of him alone, as none of those who were drenched in these same rains with him received any holy spiritual blessings, nor did any even understand what YA'OH had done for him. All through the Tanakh, Old Testament of English Bible, it can clearly be seen that only YA'OH cleans his select in waters for them to become his chosen or elect, and thus welcome into an eternal fellowship with him. Always this cleansing job is performed by YA'OH himself and by no one else, and he never did this for any females, males under 20, or any strangers to the house or lineage of YA'OH, but only for very mature men of the house of YA'OH. So what this guy is saying is that Jesus being baptized by John the Baptist is incorrect. right? Different kind of baptism, right? Torrential rain. God does it himself. John had no involvement in it. As is very obvious from the New Testament of the English Bible, however, a supposed act deemed for the cleansing of sinners is performed by all manner of characters and never by YA'OH himself. This so-called cleansing in the so-called New Testament of the English Bible of Christians is what they term baptism, which comes from the Greek baptizo. Yeah, okay, check that out. Strangely, all of the denominations of Christians conduct their rituals of baptism in manners as they choose for themselves or deem appropriate. By immersion of those undergoing the ritual in man-made swimming pools, by dripping waters from vessels such as jugs onto the foreheads of such people, or even spraying waters from water pumps onto those who believe in this ritual and so wish to go through it, be it for men, women, adults or infants, physically alive or even in comatose state. And Roman Catholics dead probably. Not sure on that one. Finally, my dear Sylvia, a little explanation to his name. Tabal-YA'OH Ban Ab-YA'OH. These Hebrew Israelite types always have these long-winded names, which is his only alias, defining his place in the house of YA'OH. Interestingly, Tabal-YA'OH is a name given to him, or given to men alone, meaning he who YA'OH has dipped in water. Okay. As in the manner Christians do their baptism by immersing or dipping the candidate in waters in swimming pools. And this understanding is because the English Bible is so crafted as to portray an English thought, belief and practice, and not of Gabara Hebrew. Okay, yeah, it's later translations, transliterations, revised, re-edited, etc., etc., as we stated in our videos, Americanized modern versions in the English, etc., etc. Okay. Now, from the English Bible in 1 Chronicles 26:10, we read of one Tabal, who was the third son of one Hosah. And from Strong's number 2882, we are told that Tabal-YA'OH is in fact Tabal-YA'OH, which means Yah has dipped, but obviously the Tabal-YA'OH in so-called modern Hebrew is obviously Tabal-YA'OH in Gabare Paleo-Hebrew, the true Lashawan Kadash spoken by YA'OH. Okay, so we're going to have a look at an English-speaking Bible here when we find one. Sorry, English Americanized Bible version at that verse. Okay, what is that verse? First Chronicles. Where's Chronicles? Back this way. We're going to have a look at Chronicles. Maybe we find it. Okay, we're going to look in the index. The list. Chronicles, where are you? We are looking at the New Living Translation. There's the verse. Chronicles 26, 1 Chronicles 26, 10 to 11. Okay. 10 to 11. Yeah, we got it. Okay. Does it say here? Very, very small print. Just trying to find number 10. We're going to go from 9 because this print is so small. Uzziah built fortified towers in Jerusalem, at the corner gate, at the valley gate, and at the angle in the wall. He also constructed forts in the wilderness and dug many water cisterns, because he kept great herds of livestock in the foothills of Judah. And in the plains he was also a man who loved the soil. He had many workers who cared for his farms and vineyards, both on the hillsides and in the fertile valleys. Uzziah had an army of well-trained warriors ready to march into battle, unit by unit. This army had been mustered and organised by Jael, the secretary of the army, and his assistant Masaiah. They were under the directions of Hananiah, one of the king's officials. We actually went past that, right? And down the bottom here, 26:11. Let's have a footnote here. Because this is so hard to read, we're going to go have a look at a different version, right? With a bigger size text. That was just too small. Chronicles 26. Ten to 11. Jesus, is just a small. Where are we? Chronicles? First Chronicles 2016. We're at 26? It is 27. 2016. Okay. Sons and brothers of Mishelmiah, all men of ability. 18. Sons of Hosah, Merarite, Shimri the chief. This doesn't sound like 26. First Chronicles 26. This is what it says here. Shimri the chief, he was not the eldest, but his father had made him chief. Hilkiah the second, Tabal-YA'OH the third, Zechariah the fourth. Total of Hosah's sons and brothers, 13. The male heads of the families constituted the divisions of the doorkeepers. Okay, this is like different from the English Bible. In 1 Chronicles 26:10-11 we read one of Tabal-YA'OH. It's very different here. There's no Tabal-YA'OH in there that we can see. Tabal-YA'OH. Nope, can't see him in here. Nope. That's from the New English Bible with the Apocrypha, so we're going to try something else. Try another version. We'll do the NIV Study Bible. Okay, 1 Chronicles 26. Hosah the Merarite had sons. Shimri the first, although he was not the firstborn, his father had appointed him the first. Hilkiah the second, Tabal-YA'OH the third, and Zechariah the fourth. The sons and relatives of Hosah were 13 in all. You see, it hasn't got a footnote here. At least we don't think so. It has. Hang on, so 26, 10. 26:10. Nope, doesn't have a footnote here, so that can't help us. Here's 26:12, 26:14. Okay, so no, no help here. So we're going to have to look at the giant King James version that we have. Okay. Right, here we go. First Chronicles 26. Should have an explanation here. 26. 36:10. Also Hosea of the children of Merari had sons, Simri the chief, for though he was not the firstborn, yet his father made him the chief. Hilkiah the second, Tabal-YA'OH the third, Zechariah the fourth. All the sons and brethren of Hosea were 13. Okay, so we're going to look at this guy's name, Tabal-YA'OH. Tabal-YA'OH. Let me spell it. What is his name? Tabal-YA'OH. Tabal-YA'OH. Tabal-YA'OH means the name Tabal-YA'OH consists of two elements. The final one being, whether that's in Hebrew, Yahu, or Yahu, which is an abbreviated form of the Tetragrammaton, Yahweh or Yahweh, or YHWH or Yahweh. The verb Tabal means to immerse or dip, from fingers into blood, to hold leprous genitals into rivers. Most curious, however, is the noun Tabul, meaning turban. Okay. Let's have a look at Strong's. Okay, Strong's Hebrew 282. Tabal-YA'OH. Strong's Concordance, Tabal-YA'OH, Yah is dipped, an Israelite original word. Okay, Strong's number 02882. Purified, the third son of Hosea of the children of Merari and temple gatekeeper. Okay, so let's go have a look here. Verify that. It's taking its time. But he's right with the Yah has dipped. Yeah, but it indicated there, dipped his finger in blood or the generals or something like that. Okay, Brown Driver Briggs, proper name masculine, have dipped, i.e. purified, name of one of the porters line of Merari, 1 Chronicles 26:11. Perhaps to be assumed. Compare Ethiopic, wind about wrap up Assyrian, a blue turban. Strong exhaustive concordance from Tabal and Yah, the two H's. Jah has dipped, Tabal-YA'OH, and Israelite Tabal-YA'OH. God has, or Yah has dipped. Okay. So it's correct there. By the looks of it. No problem there. Okay. Has dipped. It didn't say dipped in water. Okay. That definition was finger in blood or finger in some sort of disease, etc. As in the many Christians do to their baptisms by immersing or dipping the candidate in waters. Immersing is the Roman Catholic. They do that to sprinkle children. They put them under water. Well, immersion is like full immersion where you go under the water and you come up either cleansed of your sins or wet. Or dipping the candidate in waters and swimming pools. And this understanding is because the Hebrew English Bible is so crafted as to portray an English thought, belief and practice, and not of Bare Hebrew. Okay, so it's to do with Western terminology, theology, so they tend to do it like that. Okay, not according to the original ancient Hebrew or original ancient Aramaic. He's right there. Okay, so now from the English Bible in 1 Chronicles 26:10-11, we read one of the Tabal-YA'OH, who was the third son of Hosea, etc., etc. Yeah, the true Lashawan Kadash, spoken by Ya'OH. Okay. Yeah, not too sure about this. Yeah. So, dear Sylvia, as has been explained in this article on Ya'OH and Alayam, which caught your attention, the name Ab-YA'OH means Ya'OH is father. Okay, this is Ab or Abba, right, in the Galilean Aramaic as well. Abba. Yeah. Therefore, the full name Tabal-YA'OH Ban Ab-YA'OH means, behold, the man who has been dipped in holy waters by Ya'OH, and this is thus become the son Ban of Ya'OH, who is this man's father. Okay, so see, saying that he's the son of God, right? He's become the son of God. Is that what he's saying? Okay. Okay, which means, take note of it, the man who has been dipped in holy waters by Ya'OH, and has thus become the son Ban of Ya'OH, who is this man's father. But didn't he say earlier he was baptized in torrid rainfall, not as Christians baptized, right, in the pool or anything like that? Isn't that what he was saying? Fantastic, he must say, and more so, he is also the third child begotten out of the seed of his earthly father by his mother, who married my dad, was dad when she was a virgin. Okay, so is he trying to say that he's born of a virgin? Okay. No, he's not. I don't think he is. He married her when she was a virgin. He is thus awed beyond measure and humble to understand that this is who he has been made to become by Ya'OH himself. Now let's have a look again. Fantastic, he must say, and more so as he's also the third child begotten out of the seed of his earthly father, okay, by his mother who married his dad when she was a virgin. Okay, so he's not saying that he's of the virgin birth or anything like that. He is he is thus awed beyond measure and humble to understand that this is who he has been made to become by Ya'OH himself, or God himself. Dear Sylvia, he says he's letting her know, and all his readers, into all his secrets and private happenings in his life, because from his initial words he said he learned from no one whatever he teaches in his writings, but from his own and sole understanding, as he is led by Rawak Kadash, or the Holy Spirit. Does not the scriptures say, don't trust thine own understanding? Don't trust your own understanding, because your heart is deceitful above all things. What this means is that he only teaches by his own experiences in his holy walk with Ya'OH, which can thus be visible in him, and not as an imitator of anyone. He is thus happy informing you of all, or this lady, of all these issues about him, so she may get to know the truth of the Most High One. And yet, in all of this, he counts himself as one who has arrived as yet, but rather doesn't count himself as one who has arrived as yet, but rather as an instrument of Ya'OH, who, in being prepared for service in the house of Ya'OH, and to his people who he knew long before their birth, would be alive within him in one same era and dimension. He wishes her well, and he asks you to feel free to ask him any questions on any issues relating to any of his articles, which might be a bother to you. And he says Shalawam. Okay, and this is the information on the writer here. I don't know how you say that in Ghanaian. NngmingBongle Bapuohyele. I don't want to attempt it because that would be rude. A.k.a. Tabal-YA'OH Ban Ab-YA'OH, which is a Torah-based life coach of Tabal-YA'OH Sharal GH and author. And here's his email. Here's a picture of him there. But down here, got this disclaimer: the views, contents expressed in this article are the sole responsibility of the authors and do not necessarily reflect those of modern Ghana. So this guy's from Ghana, right? Modern Ghana will not be responsible or liable for any inaccurate or incorrect statements contained in this article made by this guy. Okay, so if he's a total fraud, etc. And there's some more from that author, who turns out to be a total fraudster. They're not going to take responsibility for that. Okay. So just from that we're saying be very careful, be wary of this guy. Okay, find some more articles on him. Okay, because it does sound like he's saying he's the Son of God, or a chosen one, or something like that. Okay, we'll go back down here and have a look again. Someone will say, oh no, you're wrong, and swear at us or whatever as they did in the other comment. Okay, or swear. So he's denying baptism by full immersion under water, right, as Christ did. Okay, John the Baptist did to the Christ. He's saying God did it. That John the Baptist has no part in that. Okay. This is his title. Okay. That name, that long name there, that's what it means. The man who has been dipped in holy waters by YA'OH and has thus become the son Ban Ab-YA'OH. YA'OH, who is this man's father? Okay. The Son of God, not a Son of God. So watch out, he might be saying he's Christ. He might be. I'm not saying he is. It just seems to be hinting that way. Yeah. Where is he? But up here it's like, okay, strangely all of the denominations of Christians conduct their rituals of baptism in manners as they choose for themselves or deem appropriate, by immersion of those undergoing the ritual in man-made swimming pools, by dripping waters from vessels such as jugs onto the foreheads, etc., etc., even in a comatose state. Okay, it's all done by sinners, cleansing of sinners by all manner of characters, and never by God himself. Okay, so cleansing, so-called cleansing in the so-called New Testament of the English Bible of Christians is what they term baptism. Okay. Has he ever come across the original ancient, hidden and preserved Galilean Aramaic that Christ spoke and his disciples? No, probably not. Okay. They followed in the manner of the Christ. They baptized people like when Christ was baptized in the Jordan River. Okay, they were baptized like that, similar like that, right? Because that's what he said. Okay, to go do that. He was the example, wasn't he? And all were supposed to follow. But he's saying here, his own spiritual experience with torrential rainwaters came about as he had described above, and has caused him to come into the same line and lineage of all the holy men of God since creation. So he's of that holy line, right? Okay, that's what he's stating there. We're not making it up. It's in his own words. So is he saying he's a prophet? So at some part in this article here, he's saying torrential rains, he was baptized through those.